Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Sharper Edge podcast with Betty Parker. So glad that you decided to stop by. Take a listen to what I have to share today. It is the end of 2025. We're going to go out with a bang in a lot of ways, I know. If you are excited about what's to come, I'm glad to have you here. If you are uncertain about what's to come, let's talk it through. If you are happy that this year is over because it's been such a drain on your life, then let's look forward to some good things happening. I love the end of the year because it really does force us, many of us who are passionate people who are excited about life and who want things to be better in the new year, even if your approach isn't that you're excited about life all the time, but sometimes you face it with drudgery. You just want to get the year over. The thing about the end of the year is that we look forward to a new year approaching and we're looking for something different to happen in that new year. As much as we want to control it, we know there are a lot of things that we cannot. So I want us to focus as we start ushering out 2025 and looking forward to 2026 as a time for renewal and refreshing, as well as being resilient. For those of you who have to overcome something that didn't work out so well for you in this year, I look forward to helping to just shed some light, some encouragement, something positive in your life throughout the course of 2026. And I'm hoping and praying that many great things are on the horizon for us all. So I look forward to the end of the year because it gives us a time of reflection. It gives us a time to think on what was so that we can just figure out, what worked for us in this year and what didn't, so we can avoid bringing that into the new year. And then to think about what do we want to have happen for us in 26. A lot of times we act like life happens to us, and in some ways it does, but it can also happen for us. And when I talk about it happening for us, what I mean is we can make life what we want it to be when it comes to the things that we can control. Sometimes people move through life like they are powerless to affect it. And in actuality, much of what is happening in your life is based on the choices and decisions that you have made and are still making. So there are definitely things you can do to make your life what you want it to be. Of course, there are uncertainties. The future always brings about the not knowing that can be unnerving for some people, but it's all in how you look at it, because what may be unnerving for some people can be a time of excitement for others because they're looking forward to what new lies on the horizon. And they don't expect that everything that new happens will be some change that's going to be have a negative effect on them. They are not pessimists. They are optimists. They're looking at when that thing comes, whether they have control over it or not, how they can fashion it in such a way that they can pull the best from it, even though it might not be the most ideal situation. So we can just kind of meander into the new year if that's what you want to do and just let life happen. Or you can say, I want to be strategic about what I allow in my life in the new year. You have to be very intentional about how you approach the new year. And so if you want to do that with me, let's go. So I want to step into my coaching shoes and ask you a few questions that I hope you will reflect on as you end this year and look forward to moving into the next year. So tell me about what 2025 looked like for you. If you had to boil it all down into a sentence, how would you describe how 2025 affected your life? Additionally, sometimes there are some stumbling blocks that get in our way. And those are things that we have control over and we can overcome. So, have you overcome any stumbling blocks that have gotten in your way? And if so, how? And was that the best approach to it? And if you anticipate there will be more in the future, how are you going to learn from what you've gone through in 2025 so that you're not too far derailed from what your goals are because stumbling blocks present themselves? Third question is this: what is your main goal for 2026? It's a common one, right? Everybody asks that question. But I want to pose it in this way. If we were in December 2026 right now, what will you have had to do in order to reach the goal that you set for yourself in 2026? The older I get, I recognize that, our years ahead of us are getting fewer and fewer. And so, since we're all very limited in the amount of time we have on this earth, and I got to assure you, as you move on in life, those years fly by and you feel like, but I'm just getting started. And you recognize that the things you probably should have been doing, you should have done them 30 years ago. But at those times, we don't have the wisdom that we now possess. And so we feel like some of our best years are wasted. There's an old adage that says, the best years are wasted in your youth or something along that line, or your best years are wasted on the young or something to that effect. But at those times, we feel like we can do anything, and we do, but we don't make the best choices because we don't have enough wisdom at that point to know what should and should not happen. Not all of us. Some of us figure it out and we run with it, but we still make a lot of mistakes along the way. Doesn't matter at all. So, one of my goals this year is to encourage people. And I always try to do that anyway, but I want to be more intentional through this podcast to be a beacon of hope and light to people. I want, as a coach, to encourage you to do some things that are going to impact you and make a positive change in your life. A lot of times as we are just making it through life, some people say, hey, it's all good with me. I don't need the big, bright, shiny things. I just want to make sure that I'm not in the dark and deep and abysmal places. So if my life is cool and I'm just cruising through life, that's good enough for me. I don't need a whole bunch of goals. Things are fine. But it only takes one major life event to upset all of that, shake all of that up, and blow your world up. And there's nothing you can do about it in a lot of ways. And, it's just a matter of us just making it through. But life doesn't have to be bad or boring. There are things you can make happen. There are some changes you can affect in your life that will bring you joy and restore your peace. And so those are the things I want to help you walk through as we go through this upcoming year that can be filled with so much joy for some people, can be filled with so much intrigue, that can be filled with so much newness that you feel like, wow, I'm so glad that I'm in this year and that my life has taken a turn for the better. And it's based on some of the decisions that you make. It's based on some of the strategies that you put in place. It's based on the goals that you have established for yourself and that you will strive for. It gives you something to wake up to every morning and something to do. And not just something to do, but something to accomplish. And so in doing that, sometimes we need a coach. Sometimes we need somebody who will question what we are doing and make us question what we're doing because it's not working out as well. Where did we go wrong? What are some of the hindrances and stumbling blocks that are in our way? How do we overcome those things? So I'm not plugging that you need to have me as a coach. I'm just saying get an accountability partner if you need to. But please, by all means, check into this podcast. I hope you will invite others to take a listen to it because my goal, of course, is just to reach out to people and help us to understand ourselves better. Also, to teach us to get along well with others in the world. We live in a very difficult world that's continuously becoming more and more difficult because we're becoming more and more self-centered. Becoming more and more about what matters to us and us alone or the people in our inner circle. And in doing that, we leave out the rest of the world. And when you do that, and we need the rest of the world, because oftentimes we don't recognize that we are interdependent. There are people who know more than we do. They have more skills than us, more competency, more knowledge, and we need them to be able to help us to achieve what we want to achieve. But somehow we try to go it alone. Alone, we try to isolate ourselves from other people, and as a result of that, it's a harder road to travel. Our journey becomes much more difficult because we are neglecting ourselves or denying ourselves the resources, whether they are people resources, or funding resources, or time resources, whatever it is. But there's likely something we need to get from somebody else for us to be successful. It's not always easy to go it alone, and it's not always successful to go it alone. So sometimes we need an accountability partner. Maybe you want to get a personal coach that will help you through, and I'm happy to do that if that's the case. But maybe you just want to pull on a great friend who you know you can trust, who will keep your confidences, who will encourage you, who will call you out on your stuff when you need it, and who will keep you on track towards whatever the goals are that you're setting for yourself in 2026. So at the beginning of the year, many of you felt like 2025 intruded in your lives, right? it felt like an interloper because it didn't start off good. It didn't start off positive. There were some things right off the bat, and if you get into pop culture and news, January 1, New Year's, New Orleans, a guy came through, ran through Bourbon Street in a truck and murdered people. That was the beginning of some really harsh and hard news for us to have to fathom right out the gate. And of course, the news explodes this stuff, and you got this 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours of all the negative negative information that keeps coming up about the person who did it and the poor victims that had to suffer through it, as well as their family members. So it wasn't a great way to start the new year. And it seemed like the year continued to progress poorly. There were people who lost their jobs. If they were federal workers, we've experienced a really horrible and long term shutdown. People are arguing and just disgusted by politics on both sides of the aisle. We are arguing about morals. We are struggling because of the high cost of living. Affordability is a big buzzword right now in terms of housing, and grocery prices are up. And it just seems like it's all pessimism and gloom, right? And we can expect that at times in life. And this happens to be one of those times. The reality is, no matter what somebody tells you about what it looks like going on in the world today, you know what you are personally experiencing. So don't let anybody tell you you're not seeing what you're seeing or experiencing what you're experiencing. You know what you're going through. You know what impact this life is having on you and the way things are going. So deal with the realities that are in front of you. However, you do not have to stay a victim. You do not have to stay in a place or position where you feel weighed down or run down by life. Yes, it gets difficult, and it will many more times after this. But there are those glimmers of hope. There are those times and those stretches of life when things are working out better for you. Unfortunately, we look at life like it has to be either bad or boring. I'm looking to help you to get to a place where you are soaring, where you are saying, listen, I don't want the bad or the boring. I want that thing that is exciting, that thing that draws me in, that thing that makes me get up in the morning and want to face my day because I'm getting closer and closer to my goal. And so, what is it that you really want to do? What is it that lights that fire in your heart and keeps that flame going? And despite all the craziness that's going on around you, you are still stretching toward that goal. There's nothing that's going to stop you. If you haven't identified that yet, let's talk about it because it's incredibly important. If you're going to live upon this earth in the very limited time that all of us has, then you want to go in here doing everything that you can to make the most out of every single day, which is truly a blessing. When you are able to wake up able bodied and able minded, then you want to take advantage of those things. They are truly not something to be taken for granted. So, if there are things available to you, resources available to you, if there are possibilities within your reach, but sometimes and somehow you're facing a shortcoming here or there, don't allow those things, those little, things that make you stub your toe, maybe trip a little bit, maybe even fall flat on your face, keep you down or embarrass you. What you have to do is, like we always say, once we fall, right, we get back up, we dust ourselves up, and then we figure out what's the next approach, what's a better approach, so that we are getting to the end. And whatever that end point is for you, where you say, I've arrived, this is where I wanted to be. We talk ourselves out of everything that we want to do that seems impossible. And the reason why is because life will tell you, well, you don't have enough money for that. Are you too old to do this? Are you too young to do it? Are you not in the right place? Or this is just not your season. And there are so many things that you can say to yourself that prevents you from going to it or for it. And so you listen to that inner voice that sometimes it's just doubt and fear talking to you. What you need to be asking for is a spirit of discernment so that you can discern, is this just me because of my fears or my doubts that are creeping in that's stopping me from getting where I need to go? Is it really valid that I can't press on in this situation because there's no way, it is truly impossible for me to hit my stride and get to where I want to go? Or is it that, what I really want to do is right there, it's close to me. And all I have to do is put in the work and the effort. All I need to do is make the right connections to challenge myself more and to be bolder and more courageous in stepping out and talking to the right people, or building an alliance with somebody, or squashing a beef with somebody who could really help me in a situation. Success looks like a lot of different things to a lot of different people. What you have to do for yourself is define what success looks like to you. The only way to know if you're being successful is to set up your own criteria and to just kind of check it off. What is it to you? If success is for you, I am striving to hit the top of my game, whatever your game is, professionally. If it means that you are looking to do whatever that big dream was that you have and have had for a long time. Maybe it's home ownership. Maybe it's moving to a different place, a different state, a different country. Maybe it's getting that promotion. Maybe it's hitting a financial goal, whatever it is for you. There's so many things that we can strive for. Maybe it's a closer walk with God. Maybe it is building yourself up emotionally and spiritually and mentally and even physically. Maybe you want to look at how much longer can I live upon this earth by my own doing, okay? Because there's so many things that we sabotage ourselves in because we are not living a healthy life physically or mentally. And so we get in our own way. And maybe one of your big goals is to stop that here and now. And it's going to take a lot of hard work and discipline. And it's going to take a lot of personal power, and just a mindset change, right? There's so many resources and opportunities available to you if that's what you really want to do, and all of the things that I just identified for you. But you have to be intentional about it. So often we just kind of meander through life and expect it to do things for us. When in actuality, life will do for you what you allow it to do, what you invite it in to do. And those things that you cannot control are on the periphery. And all we do is figure out how do we get through those things. But for the things that are within the circle that we can control, those things that are closest to us, those things that will manifest if we just put in the work and the time and the energy to make it happen. So if we do those things, if we control those things that we can, we are likely to get to them. So many people have, and so many people do. 2026 is a time of resilience. And I know a lot of times people pick that word up. We know the new year is coming, and every time a new year comes, everybody thinks, "Oh, this is a time for new beginnings." But the point is, a lot of people are going to move right out of this 2025 into 2026 doing the same old things. The only thing that's new is the year, right? We don't do resolutions. People have given up on doing resolutions because they know they're not going to last very long. They normally don't. We have all of this interest in the beginning, but we make life hard for ourselves. Our minds tell us that we can't break those old habits and move into something new. So we relegate ourselves to falling back into the way we lived the year before. Oftentimes we want things, but we just want to just cruise through life and expect it to do all the things that are in our head with very little intervention on our part. That's not going to happen. And that's why you continue to stay in the same situation you're in. But if you are deliberate and you are strategic and you are willing to be disciplined enough to carve out the things that you want in your life and to make time to make those things happen, then you're more than likely to get to them. I've seen it happen and I've done it myself. So some of you may be saying, Betty, all that sounds fine and good and dandy, but really, I don't have the resources to do what I want to do. Maybe it's a time resource. Maybe you want to get your PhD. Maybe you want to get your master's. Maybe you want to get your bachelor's. Maybe you're looking to build a new skill or competency for yourself, but you're busy being caregiver to your parents or to your children to your children, right? You're in that life sandwich. And so you really don't have the capacity to take on anything more. I totally get it. So if that's something you really want for yourself, say a higher education or building another skill, do you have to go to a 4-year college to get that done, or 2 years or 3 years or whatever it is? Do you have to incur all of the expense associated with that? Is there another route to get there? Maybe you can't take 12 or 15 hours, but can you take 6? Can you take 3? Maybe it's going to take you longer to get there, but you're definitely on your way there. Maybe it's a job situation that you're facing. You're saying, listen, I did not have a great 2025 where I'm working. I wish I could find something else to do, but the job market stinks. So now I'm stuck here on this job with these people who are ungrateful, especially my manager. How am I supposed to make my work situation any better when there are people who are standing in my way? So I would challenge you to figure out, how do you go around those people? Do you avoid coming in contact with them as much as possible? Do you look for an opportunity to move away from them, maybe into another department if you can? Maybe you can't leave the job, but can you find yourself in another place within the organization? Or is it simply a mindset change? And I say simply because that's just the one thing you're going to have to do, but it might be one of the hardest things that you have to do. So I'm not simplifying a mindset change. That's big, that's hard. But if it's necessary, then you have to do what you have to do. So sometimes when we have to deal with difficult people, we will deal with them in fits and starts, right? We parse out the time we want to spend with them, take them in small doses. And then when you come into their presence, you know how difficult they are already because you've been grappling with them for a while now. So you already know what to anticipate. So you get yourself ready to deal with them. Now, I have to admit, I have a very destructive response to people who can be difficult at times. My destructive default is sarcasm. So sometimes I am getting messages to them in some ways that is dripping with sarcasm, but I'm hoping it will open up their hearts and their minds to see themselves as I'm saying these things or making these remarks. I don't do it all the time. Sometimes I'm a straight shooter and I just tell people what I'm experiencing with them. And I hope they'll take it right. If they don't, sorry, but that's just the way it is. That's what I'm experiencing when I'm with you. And we ought to all be courageous enough to do that. Now, even though I've done that with some people and they've taken what I said with a grain of salt and they continue to be who they are, which sometimes get in the way of them dealing with me, then I just remove myself from those folks if I can. And because I work for myself, I have the greater advantage of not having to see them on a regular basis. So it might be easier for me than it is for you. I don't want to be flippant or diminish what you're experiencing with other people. So what you have to figure out for yourself is, what types of coping mechanisms can I put into place because of my situation? Whatever your unique situation is, what kind of coping mechanisms can you put in place until you can actively change your environment? If you want a great work environment, you have to sometimes create that for you. All right. So while the rest of the world is swirling around you in complete and total chaos, how can you find your happy place in the middle of that? Sometimes we just have to do that because life will throw you all kinds of curveballs, as you know, and you can either let them whiz by you, or you can catch them, or you can let them hit you in the face. It's totally up to you. I want you to get deep into your spirit some of the most positive words that, if you just think on them, if you'll just meditate and let them really take root in you, you'll start feeling differently and you'll start feeling better because of these words. You know, people used to say the word, my word for the year is, right? I liked when I saw some of those things. I think it could be way more than one word. You'll notice, I guess one of my habits, and I don't know if it's a bad habit or not yet. I'm still trying to figure it out. I don't give it that much thought, but I do use multiple words to describe one thing. And sometimes I think I'm over talking, not over, I overthink too, but over talking, because I'm trying to create a visual in the minds of the listener, people like you. So if I talk to you and say things to you, like, if you want joy in your life, if you want peace in your life, if you want excitement in your life, right? All of those are good positive words. And you got it. You got it when I said joy. But I tend to persist in finding more adjectives to describe a particular situation. It's a habit of mine. I hope it's a positive habit. But I believe you need more than one word if you want to start building up inside of you the positivity that needs to live in you. Because the world is out here doing what it does. It is there to beat you down at times. It is there to take away the things that will help you to be just filled with hope in life, right? And so if that's part of what the world does, because there's so many pessimistic people in the world, there's so many people who would like to see your downfall, then you have to do what is necessary in order to lift yourself. You can't depend on external forces. It has to be totally intrinsic. So you have to motivate you. How do you do that? And words have power, because if you know the meaning behind them, then the meanings of those words should fuel you in some sense to live out those words. So I try to get people to think about, what are your personal values? What is it that makes you feel like you are living your best life? That makes you feel um, like you are being honest and true to yourself and how you live. And so when we're looking at approaching a new year and we're looking for positivity and encouragement, I look for words that will I can implant in me, and they will root up, they will spring up from the roots within me. So words like resilience are great words for a new year. Rejuvenation, revitalization, reconnection, all of the re's, right? RE, because when you think about that little prefix, I think that's what it is, if I can remember from English. When you think about that prefix, it's like it means again. It's not like we've never been there before. And if you have been in those places before, you know how good they made you feel. So if you've moved away from them, then you want to get back to where you were. Those times when you were your happiest, those times that were most solid in your life, those times where you felt the most rooted in something that was good. And so I would encourage you to do whatever the is that you have to do. Okay. So renew whatever it is that brings you all of the good feelings, right? And so, what is that for you? And if you can identify that, then you can look for the things that help you to get there. Sometimes it's in conversation with somebody who has that boost and that juice that gets you going. Sometimes it's in reading something, finding a place, hopefully, this podcast that will continue to uplift you and that you can share with other people as well. Let me put my little assets up there again, right? My little media assets, that's what that's called on here, to tell you to like and subscribe in this podcast so that you can keep coming back and getting some of this fuel. I don't have all the answers, but I do live life with joy and with excitement, no matter how difficult my life is. And I got to tell y'all, sometimes I'm going through it over here, but I don't always talk about it, because not that I'm ashamed or afraid to talk about anything that I'm struggling with, but mostly because we all got our stuff we're dealing with. And I don't need to throw mine on you while you're already dealing with yours. What I want us to do is to come together in agreement to say that life is tough at times. So here's how we're going to go through this thing. And maybe something that I'm doing might spark something in you that encourages you and helps you to get out of your own way or out of the ditch that you might be in because life drove you there. Maybe there's something that I'm saying that renews a right spirit in you, right? So because that's one of my gifts. I've done the spiritual gifts test. And so this is not a brag or a boast. This is what the assessment said. It says one of my spiritual gifts is exhortation. So apparently I encourage people a lot. I like doing that because I don't like living in the depths of despair. Now, the other side of that, because I'm always looking at, here are your strengths, but how can your strengths sometimes become your downfall? And sometimes I'm too optimistic. I'm overly optimistic, and I need to deal with the realities of life. If somebody got a really bad diagnosis and they're worried for their future, me running in and saying, "Oh, you're going to be fine, just look on the bright side." No, the reality is your body is failing in some way. You're afraid for your future. And the reality is you might have only a set amount of time to live, right? And so that's scary for a lot of people. That's daunting and horrifying in some ways. And me trying to, oh, it's going to be okay, is not helpful at all. So I have to check myself in those moments. But I don't mind sitting and listening to what people have to say when they just need to pour out their hearts in it, because sometimes all it requires is that we be a good listener. I do want to say to people who are struggling in whatever they're going through, and maybe you have already faced this diagnosis situation, or maybe you are grappling with your mental health and it's not that good. Maybe you feel fragile emotionally. We're all going through something. And some of us are stronger in it than others. Some of us have been in it for just a short period of time. Some of us have been in it for years, maybe even a decade. And you're like, when is this going to be over? I feel burdened by life, right? So, and here's the crazy part of this whole thing. You can be having a fantastic experience in your life, winning, 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 and be losing at the same time. Because while you are having something that you have accomplished to finally emerge for you, you can also find that underneath something else is crumbling. Two things can be true at the same time. You could be on this parallel course where good is happening to you as well as the bad. And it really is disruptive in terms of your mental health, where your mental state. You're like, I want to jump for joy over here, but by the same token, I'm scared about this situation or I'm saddened by it. And that's just how life comes at us. So, where a lot of the work has to happen is here. And I know that sounds like a cop out, but it is not. Because when things are out of your control, when life is happening, when you don't have the cure for whatever you're going through, it's about how do I approach this in such a way that I don't feel defeated, that I'm not accepting defeat, that I have to go through this mind field, right? And to avoid all of the negativity that's been planted around that I could step on and it explode in my face. And so you have to figure out, how do I want to live this? How do I want to approach this? And it is not easy by any means. And there are going to be some times when you're going to have to cry out and be miserable for a moment, but you also have to make the decision, I'm not going to stay here. There are times when you're going to have to choose. I said it in a previous episode. You're going to have to choose joy over the pain that you're feeling. Sometimes you're going to say, hey, this is a new day. Yesterday, I felt sorry for myself the whole day. Yesterday, I was in a deep state of depression and I couldn't get up and go. Yesterday, I was bouncing off the walls because I was in a manic state, just so stressed out and anxious about all the things that are happening in my life that I can't control. Sometimes we have to face, what am I doing in these moments? And how much am I sabotaging myself? Maybe the difficulties that are existing in my life between the other person that I'm having a poor relationship is driven by some of the things that I am doing. There's so much depth to our existence. And because we are multifaceted and certainly not one dimensional, we can't approach situations in a flat manner. We have to look at all aspects of it. That's what my book talks about, Crushing Goliath. Oh, let me go ahead and put that out there for you all if you want to do a little bit of digging and reading. And oh, and by the way, if you want to do a book club with me, I'm happy to do it. Pull together some of your crew. And if you want to talk through it, there are lots of reflective questions in there. There are a lot of case studies, and there are definitely solutions based on the Goliath method. The book is Crushing Goliath, and I talk about, being a giant slayer and overcoming the difficulties that can exist in any relationship as we try to forge our way through problem solving in some of the most difficult situations. So by all means, call on me. I'm happy to work with you all and to talk through some things on it. And this year in 2026, I plan on setting up a program for people who want to do some investing in themselves. Yeah, I have corporate clients that call me and say, hey, Betty, can you come and train all of my managers or all of my supervisors or these teams or whomever? And they have the pockets, the purse, to be able to afford my full price to come in and to do that, because I'm looking to change behaviors and I'm willing to come in there over a period of time. Sometimes it's 6 months, sometimes it's 8 months, sometimes it's a year, to help organizations, because when those organizations invest in their people, they're saying, first of all, that these people matter. It is their responsibility to build their employees up so that they can do the work that they're called to do. And it's hard to just do the work if you're not getting along with people. So some companies see what can happen when teams are not cohesive and collaborative. So they'll call in somebody like me to try to help them out. I don't like the one and dones though. I don't like, oh, I'm coming in for a half a day to come and lay out a little bit of work for you all. And then bye. I hope all of y'all can get along well after this. No, if you're looking for behavioral changes, there has to be accountability built in. There has to be us learning a skill on one day and then giving time for people to put that skill into action, to test it, to see what's working and what's not, to make whatever course corrections along the way, to come back and to be held accountable and to talk about what the experience has been, and then learn a new skill and then do the same thing. And it has to become repetitive at some point, so that the behaviors that once were are no longer, and we're creating new habits for ourselves. Corporations can invest in their people and should be investing in the people to make those things happen. But what if your company won't do that for you? Yet you still want to be better. You still want to grow. You still want to, just improve in some way. So maybe you don't have the deep pockets of a corporation, but you have a little bit of money set aside to gift yourself in this time of Christmas. This is Christmas week. This is a season where we will be giving gifts. What gift are you giving to yourself? So I would highly encourage you to take advantage of the one that I'm setting up. And some of you might say, man, that's pricey. When you go out and take a look at it, when you click on the links, and by the way, I'm going to put it up here. And it might seem like a lot for you, but keep in mind, we're talking about creating new habits. We're talking about change. We're talking about becoming renewed and revitalized, just like you would if you were renovating a home or buying something different, a different vehicle, a different car or something, some newness in your life. Well, that newness is not going to happen just in January. And people say that their resolutions fail after only about 2 months, maybe. Some might make it to March, but I think the standard is around February it falls apart. Well, that may be the case, but if we're talking about real self-improvement and you want somebody like me to help you through it, you need that coach and that accountability partner that's going to hold your feet to the fire and help you to um, make the changes happen that you need, the behavioral changes that you need in order to get to the place you're trying to get by the end of 2026. So what does that look like for you? What are you willing to invest in yourself? Are you nervous about it? Are you thinking about, I don't have the money for this, or the money I have, I can't use it on that. I need to find a different way. Or maybe you just are wasting money. You prefer to do it and put it on, some of the superficial things to improve yourself on the outside. But the real work needs to happen on the inside. I love it when people talk about it's an inside job. Yeah, it is an inside job. And if you want things to happen differently for you, then you have to make the effort. And sometimes we need somebody who can give us the clear pathway to that. And I quite possibly could be that person. So today, I would like to also introduce to you my new program that's coming up in February for the individual who wants to improve themselves. The program that I'm presenting is 8 months long. Okay. And it's going to teach you how to do some problem solving and how to connect with people, how to do some networking, how to do some negotiating, how to overcome conflict, how to be a better communicator, and how to just move forward in your life, especially if you have some stumbling blocks that are in a way. How do we remove those things? And if you are your own stumbling block, how do we get you out of your own way? So I want you to just be thoughtful about that and to take into consideration that in February, we're going to get started once a month for the next 8 months. We're going to meet and we're going to talk through different principles that you can put into effect each month in your life and create new habits out of them by implementing what we put together over the next 30 days until the following month. And there's going to be accountability, there's going to be review, there's going to be positive reinforcement, there's going to be a personal action plan on your part. So this is an investment in you, this is an investment in your future, this is a shaping of your future. This is what we want to see as a permanent improvement in behavior. And so the only person who can make any of those happen is you. Now, let me tell you, you won't be by yourself. We will have a cohort of people. The cohorts are maxed out at 8 people. So since there are only going to be 8 people in our inaugural class, and you will be investing in yourself, you don't have the backing of some big corporation to pay for this series for you, but you think enough of yourself to want to invest in you, then I am going to be very generous to those of you who will make up our very first cohort, which starts February 3rd. So if you will sign up, the link is in the comment section below. If you will sign up before our deadline of January 15th, you can start the class on February 3rd. And we are offering special introductory pricing to you of a 25% reduction in the normal fee. So please make sure you take advantage of this right away. We're going to ask some very reflective and very difficult questions of you. Sometimes people say my sessions turn into group therapy. It's okay. Whatever helps you to grow and to develop and to become better than you've ever been, then so be it. We are going to do the hard work of stripping away those things that stand in the way of our progress. We're going to do the hard work of learning to maintain self control and to maintain our composure during some of the most difficult times. We're going to learn how to press forward and to see ourselves in a way that we will find ourselves more powerful and empowered. The power we give to us, not waiting for somebody else to empower us, but the power that we will give to ourselves to do these things that we want for us. Only you can define and identify what's meaningful to you, what's substantive, what's going to make the difference in your life in the next year, in the next 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, and those things that will be long lasting. So I'll help you to figure what that is. You know, a lot of people just don't know. I hear it all the time. I don't know what I want to do next, Betty, or I don't know if I should stay in this situation because it seems fraught, or they're just, kind of meandering along. Can you pray with me? Can you pray for me? I can do all that too, but you still have to be the one to ultimately say, here's what I need to do. So if you're geared up, if you're ready for some change, if you're ready for some improvement, this is not a New Year's resolution. This isn't something that you're going to start and stop because I won't let you. This is about success. Your success is my success. So I want you to win so you can go out and tell other people and we can see this program grow. So are you ready? If you are, like I said, click on the link, sign up to be one of the first 8 at a 20% introductory rate for the next 8 months of 2026 to be the better part of everything that is you, to find out things about yourself that you have probably hidden and forgot about, to dust off that resume if that's what's necessary, to hone those skills, to become that new shining object that you used to be. Life no longer has to be lackluster. It's our approach, it's our mindset. It's about believing in yourself and what you can do. And if you can't muster that up on your own, I'm here to help. So I appreciate you sticking it out with me since I started this podcast just a few months ago. I expect 2026 is going to be a time of growth for the both of us. I'm looking forward to doing so many great things with you as you do these things for yourself. I believe we can make the world a much better place if we move out of just self and just look for ways in which we can extend ourselves and be the bright and shining star for other people, because the more we bring the goodness from us into the world, the more we can stamp out all the ugliness that keeps creeping up, that keeps emerging. We have to be louder than the negativity that's out there. And if I can get an army of people who say, I am going to be the better me, and I'm going to bring the better me into the world, and I'm going to fight against those things that stand in the way of everybody else by collaborating and being a bigger influence on my life and the life of other people in the most positive way, then I think we can do some fantastic things. So I appreciate you sticking it out with me. Connect with me. Let me know what's going on. And if you have any topic ideas for next year, please, by all means, drop those in the comment section as well, and keep listening. Thank you for being a part of the Sharper Edge podcast. Happy New Year to you. And I look forward to working with you soon. Take care.